to get the bigger picture. Yes, we have a lot of battles, but the bigger picture is that we are all here and all connected at this time. And we all raised our hand to be here. You know, I'm always reminded that, oh, you volunteered. Okay, help me out a little bit. You know, it's some of us, well, many of us are very isolated now. I don't know about you, but I used to be in circles and groups for years.
Yeah, me too. Everywhere I went,
Yeah.
everywhere I traveled.
Yeah. Digs a hole. And now for the last couple years, it's been such an internal work of like getting all the little pieces of the puzzle and now seeing the whole as we can put the whole picture together and learning from our experiences and knowing that, you know, spirit never failed us, never once. Humans did, yes, and our shortfallings and our ways we do and our lessons. But this, you don't have to, just like Spirit said to you, you don't have to worry about who's going to see it, because who needs to see it is who needs to see it. Right?
Yeah. And that's what happened with working with the Free Cherokee. And they had lots of bands and clans. It used to be really huge, like 70s and 80s. And it was started by a Lakota man. And then it came full circle like 30, 40 years later, and his daughter got voted in as the principal chief. So I was working with her. I think she's going to do the moon teachings in summer. She's a really amazing woman. She had a major head injury too. She had to survive. And like I had brain cancer, so we got along really good because I had brain weird stuff. So we, you understand each other.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. Yes.
And
no, there's something that happens when we it stimulates all parts of the brain because we use so little of this wonderful brain we have, and I could actually feel the synapse moving and changing inside my brain as I was healing. I could feel them move, and I'd say, okay, maybe go over to this side. Okay, let's move up over this peripheral area that didn't get hurt because there's not a scar here. Now, how do we get through it? You know, the nerve endings I would sit in meditation and watch the nerve endings shift and change into different parts of my brain. Most people would go, oh yeah, right. And you didn't see an MRI do that? That's not really true. But I knew what happened because all of a sudden, my daughters can tell you, I couldn't talk. Karen Kringle.
What's up?
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, okay, so just as people are showing up, I'm going to have you guys mute your microphones just so that we don't have a lot of background noise. There you go. Thank you. And I don't know. So for more people are coming in, we got all kinds of people showing up, all these beautiful ladies. And, oh, hold on. There I am. Awesome. Okay, so as you guys are showing up into the meeting, we would like you to mute your microphones. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the screen, you'll find your microphones, because sometimes there's background noise. And then and also, yeah, you guys can go ahead and use the chat. And at the end of, I think these people know you. You got a Karen Pringle and Kim Alicia. Do you know those people, Jannie?
No. Karen Pringle, I know a Karen, and she's just relocated back to Texas.
Okay, well, I think that these people might, yeah, so we're just going to have everybody, there you go. I'll try to mute your microphones for you as you go, so we don't have a lot of background noise. And so check your microphones on your, underneath your Zoom at the bottom, and then just make sure everything's real quiet, because sometimes the background noise gets in the way, and then it can mess with our minds a little bit when we're trying to figure out where the noise is coming from. So anyway, let's it's exactly 10 o'clock. Let's just give it 2 more minutes. We have more people that are popping in, more beautiful ladies coming in. And my beautiful fire medicine dog, she's decided to get out of bed. So I guess everything's starting to move and shake. She's starting to move and shake. We're ready to go. And like I said, keep, muting your microphones if you're coming into the meetings. So that way we can make sure that there's no background noise. And go ahead and use the chat. The chat is available. I'm actually going to open that up so that I can see what everybody's going. Awesome. And at the end of the talk, we'll have a question and answer period for our lovely grandmother who has come to do the presentation today. And I'm going to go ahead and do a quick prayer to kind of start the circle. I have all these amazing prayers that I save, from different nations, and I couldn't find one today. They were like all vanished. And so Spirit said, I want you to I learned this prayer from a Paiute friend of mine who I ended up taking care of the ceremonial land out past Carson City like a few years ago. And he ended up needing some rehabilitation, so he came to the land, and so we would work together on things. And mostly what I did was he taught me to go back to the prayer, to go strongly back to the prayer. And he always prayed basically the same prayers. So I'm going to go ahead and utilize that prayer. So I'm a little nervous, so I'm not used to, blaring it out there in big groups. So I'm just going to kind of ground out just a few minutes here. Oh, Creator, Creator of all things, thank you for this day. Thank you for leading us, leading me to the greater vision of bringing a global circle together. Thank you, Creator, for bringing the people who are going to present and teach to this circle. I ask you, Creator, to help me and help all those who come to have a change of heart. If there's anything going on in our lives that we have venomous energy towards or constant conflict in our minds, we ask that our heart be changed. Our heart be changed towards this person, this event, this situation. I ask that also in our mind that this change occur, that we change our mind to these situations or events or these people. And I also ask that our mind and our changed heart and our changed mind align and come together. Oh, Creator, thank you. Thank you for this alignment within myself, within this world, with the Mother, with the nations, all the nations and their inhabitants. I thank you. Oh. Okay, girl, so give us a breakdown about who you are.
Well, I am Jannie Vaught, and I am a 64-year-old grandmother. I live in Central Texas right now, which was a surprise. And I have a 23-year-old grandson, Jonathan. 3 children, raised many other children who would just show up at my door. And helped women deliver babies, nurse babies, worked with breastfeeding, for years. And I've been over 17 years, I was in the alternative health as a massage therapist, acupuncturist, did all of that. But really, what really shifted that work
Hold on. Looks like we lost her. I wonder where she went. Hold on 1 second. Where did the other thing go? Oop. Oop. Hey, Janie, can you hear me? Janie? Whoop, whoop, oh, hold on. Looks like we got some other forces that are involved as well today. So let's go ahead and see if we can straighten that out. Hold on. Whoop. And I'm gonna go here. Oop. Hold on, I gotta go over to Facebook and see if I can't communicate. Hopefully she knows how to pop back in. Let's see. Let's go back over here. Oh, here she comes again. All right. Let's see. She's coming in. She's landing. Oop. Oh, there we go.
Okay, I had to go get Summer. I just went black.
That's all right. It's all right. I think you got a storm going on.
I am naughty. I was asked by the ancient beings not to use computers for many years as I worked with them and went through my healing after that car accident. And so it's only been really recently that I use a computer. And when they said I could use it again, I like dove in. I was like, I found YouTube. I went, wow, this is like college. Just have to be kind of careful. It was really, really good. But my daughter, Summer, she's very nerdish with computers. So if something happened, she's hanging out here in the house, you know. So anyway, that's me. You know, a catastrophic car accident. It was coming out of Amblecha, out of the Navajo Nation, and we were pushed. I was a passenger in my own car, and we were pushed off the road by a semi, and we flipped and rolled 4 times, landed tires down, and we had a third person in the car that I was unconscious and left unsurvivable in the car, completely crushed. My arm, there was no car left, and my arm had gotten between the roof, which was gone, and the road. I was trying to hold on to keep myself alive, I guess. And then these 2 Navajo ladies pulled up. We were on the Nation on the highway, and they were standing there saying prayers for us. I guess they had looked in the car and called the police. And they kept saying that there was a third person in the car. Well, there was only the driver and myself. And this third person showed up over and over, and is still around right now. In fact, there's even some books out about the third person phenomenon, about trekkers lost in the Arctic, and even the Twin Towers, where the third person came and guided people down back stairs. And so I have a third person. I had a third person that come in. And then I was cut out of the car and taken to Gallup. And, you know, Gallup is a small rural reservation hospital. There just happened to be a wonderful surgeon, Scott Baker, from the Air Force, and he's an ortho. And he just got in from Iraq, and he was working in this hospital. And he had heard about me, and my arm was gone. And being a massage therapist and a toucher, the loss of my right arm would have been almost life-ending for me. I know now that I struggle to keep the arm, and it works pretty good. It works better. It's miraculous. They never thought I would have mobility in my fingers. And so I reclaimed my arm. It's full of titanium, but I had a lot Are we back on? Hey, Bridget, my phone was getting hot. I can't hear her.
Hey there, I'm here. Hey,
Okay.
Did you put a fan on it? Put it in some ice? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, fire medicine this morning. We took off the cover. I have a heavy non-breakable cover, so we took that off.
Okay.
And hope that will keep it, because I'm a dropper.
Okay. Well, this is the thing, is sometimes it takes a while for us to kind of figure out what's going on. So
yeah,
we're just
totally. Yeah.
We'll just roll with it and go from there. So
we'll stay close.
Yeah, I don't mind. Fire medicine is all good. So
oh yeah. Yes. Well, we made a fire in our fireplace or wood stove here this morning. And yeah, so there it is.
Okay, so you're
that's
talking about
me.
The third person and your injuries and your arm coming back.
Yeah, and so there's a long, several years. I went from a full business to all of a sudden nothing, no money, nothing, devastation, no car. That was my car. And in fact, the girls had to call clients and cancel clients, close my office. Everything went down to zero. So I lived without money, my daughter's supporting me for a number of years until I had an attorney that did my disability. And I got an award. And I mean, there was a whole lot of work going on. It's interesting. My attorney was a client, and him and his wife, I worked with her with breast cancer. That was kind of my specialty. And they had heard I had been in an accident at our local health food store. They had left their groceries, got in the car, and found Adrian's address and came to our door immediately and knocked on our door. And he said, I know, I was very bad, very, very bad. No teeth, bloody, horrible, no face left. And they walked in the door and he said, I know you don't remember me, but I'm an attorney. I'm a personal injury attorney. And his wife, Wanda, was there, and they just hugged me and prayed with me. And he said, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to take care of this. And he did. And then through him, another attorney came through and did my disability, which was, I had never dealt with legal or court things. I had pretty much shied away from it, as it really wasn't part of my journey. But I am always grateful. Brian was just absolutely amazing and helped me every step of the way. All of his people with support and prayers, and it was really wonderful. Occasionally, his wife would pray for me, and I would be lying down, and I literally felt like I was floating. And maybe I was, I'm not really sure, but I could feel the help coming in. And that goes right back to us all joining together. I didn't call on the phone, oh, hey, come and help me. This immediately message went out of this accident, and that I was injured and I needed help. And it came from all directions. Even friends they donated $900 through Young's Living Oil. Oils would show up at my door, and water, and it was just amazing. They would drive 2 hours to bring me items, and it was I felt as low as a microbe, but now I know that without the microbes, there is no life in the soil. And so even the smallest things that happen to us, through us, with us, around us, are really the power. I didn't understand the power of mycorrhizomes until I really got deeper and deeper into permaculture and really started looking at my soil and looking underneath into my soil. And then along with that came the roots of the trees and all the plants. So that is my inspiration at this point to bring to your beginning circle of your grandmother's circle. A long time ago, everything was decided by the grandmothers, either in the longhouse or the teepee or the lodge. The grandmothers. It wasn't the guys. It was the grandmothers. It was the women who held the medicine and made the decisions of war and peace, life and death. big decisions if they moved or stayed. So we need that again. We need the grandmothers and the women to rejoin and come back together and share our accumulated great amounts of wisdom, just like the tree over centuries of life has built layer upon layer. Every year we build layers of our rings, and it's time for us to reach out and share a little more with that. So I would like to kind of, because of my, I love to write, and I write for 2 newspapers. I write Bloom Where You're Planted, which is nothing more than a garden column weekly. So I write 4 times a month for 2 local papers. And it is, I don't go every week. I do not plan what is going to be written. I sit and I let it just come through. What do you want them to know? And who needs to speak? What gardener, what natural herbalist, whatever. Then it'll come through, and it'll come through within minutes. It's very fast. I could just sit down and type and send it. And it really is, I even stop and I go, oh, I wrote that? No, I don't know if I really did. I just was kind of manipulating the keys and letting the garden speak, letting the plants speak. Do they talk? Yes, they talk. My first thing I ever heard, actually hearing a plant, was a flower opening. And I was out in the garden, and it was early, mid-spring. Still, it was starting to get heat up. The soil was at least 60. Things had been planted, and things were coming up, and I got a few little flowers, probably pea flowers, because those are the first early ones that go in. And I was standing there, it was so quiet, and I heard pop, like popcorn, pop, pop, pop. But each one was a different note. So it was this harmonious little popping. And I went over and I looked, and I could see when the flower would disengage from them being connected and they'd open, they actually made a little sound. And I never in my life did I know. I knew nature made sounds, but I never knew that I could hear it or understand it. I can hear the wind, and I can hear the leaves fall, and I can hear different things like that are within my hearing scope. So this was a little bit different. And so, yes, they have a lot to say. And so when I met Bridget, let's go back just a little bit. I met Bridget on YouTube, and I just see Bridget, and what really drew me to her, she was doing an interview on someone for Carrie Cassidy. And what drew me to her was her very natural thing. And she had this big flower on her chest. She had this great big mum or something, flower pinned to her blouse. And I went, oh, yes, I need to follow her. And I have followed Bridget for a little, I don't know how long ago that was, Bridget, that you did those interviews. And then I found out that I could actually text people on Facebook. See, I'm a newbie, and I don't quite understand this. I have lived a life of, you get in a car, you get on an airplane, you get on a bus, train, whatever, and you get there, and then you probably have to hike 5 miles with a backpack on to get in there with your gifts and all your ceremonial stuff. This has been my journey for ever since I was a child. I would just have to go and travel. I have hauled rocks out of that wanted to be in a medicine wheel, and that I have thrown away water and hauled out stones. Halfway there, I'm like, why did I do that? Oh, okay, I could use that water about now. So I met Bridget, and I saw what she was doing. And I understood that, again, we had been fractured. The women's connection had been hijacked and overtaken by marketing. We aren't who we are because of cosmetics or clothing or objects or things we own. We are who we are because of our connection to our families and the people we love. And we are now in the process of making new family, right? And it's exciting. I am really thrilled to meet new sisters in spirit, and not just talking it because it was a new age thing or was a something new to do on the journey. Yes, I gathered lots of medicine in my medicine box. Whatever happened along the way, I jumped in, and sometimes I would jump back out pretty fast. I found there was a lot of and not so good intention people. But what I do now is I truly listen to my intuitions. And when those intuitions say, this is good, and move with it, I do it. So here I am. We're with Bridget and her Red Road Society. And I think she has lots of other titles, and as we all do. And so we can use those, and we can share and rejoin the circle again. So about trees, when she started bringing this forward and she was chatting, I told her, we were texting, and I said, one thing I really miss is the grandmother's gatherings. They used to have some really wonderful grandmother's gatherings. And the center circle was like 50 and older, and then it would jump to 40 and then 30, and then the younger ones would be on the outside. And then as you aged and matured and gained wisdom, you would go into the inner circles. And I didn't quite understand that, and I respected it, and that's what I did. But I saw in my own life the rings in my tree, which are these circles that I had earned my way. And not by anything I did. It's just because I showed up. Oh my gosh, that is a big part of this. So she asked me if I wanted to do this opening one. And I thought, how appropriate that someone who's been on the dead side and come back and had such powerful healing and a renewal of a limb and a brain. And now, as a urban homesteader, I have massive solar and wind power, water. I've started seed libraries, farmers markets, and I found my joy was with a shovel. And I saw other women standing with their shovels, talking and being real with their feet in the soil, messy hair and dirty feet. And Bridget understood that. I have muddy feet and messy hair, which is most of my life. And I understood that there was a vacancy for us to connect, and it's important for us to use this. And if this is how we do it on these little cell phones and through this internet, wonderful. I would really like us to meet physically occasionally and have a nice big feast way and do a prayer way and get to see each other in the physical. But right now, this is what we're doing. So we sleep as the trees. And that's what came through really strong, because I really got a message from Spirit that I did not allow myself rest. I wouldn't let myself rest. So I'm going to do a little reading here as being a writer. And we sleep as the trees, how our lives closely resemble the seed. The whip, which is a very tiny tree, most of the ones what you buy in 3-gallon pots or whips, and producing to a tree. How we go dormant to rest and build our time of production. Let us rest when we need to. Let us grow when we are fully ready. We have the winter's sleep. Listen to your body and listen to your intuitions. And then I went in and I really wanted to remind people how a tree grows. Because we forget sometimes, and this is how we grow. How a tree grows. Trees grow from the roots upward, and the trunk increases by 1 annulary ring every year. The leaves and branches grow from the top. The inner bark or phloem carries synthesized food from the leaves, so you're coming down to the cadmium layer. This cadmium layer is microscopic and actually builds the cells which make more wood and bark. So this is how we grow. Sapwood or xylem transports sap or water and nutrients from the roots to the leaves. So we have an upward coming down from the leaves, and we have from the roots coming up, the sap, the root, the blood, the water that's coming up. And even some balsam trees, God bless them all. when they are cut.
Okay, hold on. We're going back in to see what's her phone overheated. So let me go back in here and let her know. There you go. Oh, there we go. Looks like she's going to reset it. All right. Thank Creator for Facebook. So many people hate it. It's like become like the #1 way to communicate with people. I have the coolest people I know on Facebook. All my native connections. All right, let's see if she sees it. Okay. Yep, there she is. Bam! She's back on. She's coming back on. All right. Hey, girl.
Okay.
Hey, you got a different background.
Yes, I moved to my patio.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's my my door.
Okay, so you said
our house is very eclectic, as some would say. Every wall is a different color.
Good. Well,
so anyway, we moved out here where it was cooler because we had the wood stove on. So I'm sitting outside and it's much cooler and there's a little breeze. So hopefully the phone won't get hot. Seeing
okay,
that is what is.
The energy around you with that beautiful blue is nice.
Yes, I know. Okay. It's pretty intense right now. I'm feeling it.
You were talking.
Let's just get back to the tree, yeah. And we have forgotten how a tree grows. And I have a food forest, which I have probably 6 more trees coming in to do my upper layer, my upper canopy. And because one of the things we were really lacking was fruit. We have lots of nuts. I have 3 pecan trees. I had pear, peach, even an almond, pomegranate, berries, all kinds of stuff like that. But I was really missing some other fruit trees. So I put in fuyu persimmons. I put in, I've got a lot of fig trees, plums. So I have more trees coming in. And what it does, oh my gosh, bringing the trees in increases the energy and the whole production in the soils. Because there was a part I was missing. I needed the tree roots to activate and wake up the mycorrhizomes in the soil. You can put all the stuff on it you want, but it really is the planting of the roots and trees was really the thing that really made it happen. So back to my little scribbling here. We as human women are reflected in our great trees. From seed sprouts to seedlings, we take a journey to the soil surface seeking the sunshine. And Summer's plugging me in. She's over here busily doing things. My life is very, I come out, I have pigs, chickens, many lost cats who have arrived, and dogs, birds. It is a sanctuary here in a little tiny town in Central Texas. And, oh, shit. Okay. Oh, shit. Summer knocks it down and makes it go crazy. And this is how we roll. I mean, this is it, you know. Can you hear me still?
Yes, I can. You are still with us.
Can you hear me?
No.
Yep, I can hear you. Oh, your microphone. Here, let me see. Let me get your microphone back. Oh, yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
You can hear me?
Yep.
All right. if anybody wanted here to come here and see perfection, it's just not going to happen. Yeah, yeah, because it is a state of intuition and intuitively, what do I do now as I walk on this little place? This was pretty much a barren 2 lots with a very old German-made stone house. And we have put solar, wind, water, gardens, rain gardens, a lot of work with shovels and rocks. Of course, it's Texas, a lot of rocks. And planting trees, and people giving me trees for some reason. Hey, you want this tree? You're supposed to have this almond tree. I am? Okay, thank you. And I would plant an almond tree. And trees that were not supposed to produce. All of a sudden, I start feeding them composted, and all of a sudden they start producing. So it has been a very slow growing journey, just like us. Yeah. And so how do our grandmother trees speak to us? How do we tap into them? Do we tend them? Yes. We take a minute and we stop and we look at them. And I had never really looked how the code of the 5 on trees, everything's in 5s and 5s and 5s. And once I stopped to look, and I got a hammock out, and I put it under the big pecan trees, and I would just lay in the hammock and look at the trees. And I would look how the branches grew and how they would split here. And most of all, I would look at how they would heal themselves. And I've had the good fortune of meeting some wonderful arborists who are absolutely spectacular. They love trees. And one is helping me restore some 300-year-old oak trees here in this town, preserving them, restoration. And he's a vegan arborist that's been 30 years in the trees. He will never cut a tree down or kill a tree. He will always care for a tree. And so when I met Nikki, and he's doing some work for free for me, helping me rescue these trees, historical trees, I knew I'd met another family member, because you don't have to hang out with them every day and you don't have to see them all the time, but there's a glue and a connection with people who have the same energy and they want to help. I met this woman years ago in Wyoming, and I had never heard of a medicine wheel. And we were living out of Sheridan, my cowboy husband, and we were ranching out of there. And so I saw this thing in the library about the medicine wheel. So he took me up there, and before it was fenced or anything, it was just a big, huge rock stone laid in on the top of this mesa. I mean, way up in Wyoming, a dirt track. We had to go a 4-wheel drive to get up there. There was nobody else up there. Now it's quite fenced, and they have put bathrooms, and a lot of people come and participate in the medicine wheel. But when I first went there, there was an old barbed wire fence around it. And so I went back to the library and I said, what's the deal with that barbed wire fence around it? And they said, well, the local people were taking the stones. The wheel used to be 6 foot tall. I mean, the stacked stones were 6 foot tall. And they would go and they would need rock. So, hey, it's all there up there. Take your truck, go load it up, and take the stones. So this one woman, I met her grandson. He told me about her, and she was so outraged. She took her own money, and she put a chain link and a barbed wire fence around it. And she got the Native Americans back up there, and she was just awesome. She saved that wheel. And it is the medicine wheel in Wyoming. You can look at it online. It is powerful. Oh, my God, what a place. The tree spirits live there. So I was really shown right at the beginning of my journey that one woman can do a lot. All you have to do is have some vision and just get tired of all the shenanigans and do something about it. And she took her own money. And I'm sure she went to the feed store and bought her roll of wire and her fence post and went up there and pounded them in and strung her wire around there and put a few stay out signs on it, And that was years ago. And now we still have the medicine wheel. And let me tell you, it is active. It is amazing. I have done many vision quests on it and laid in the cairns. It has these horseshoe-shaped areas that point different directions, west and different ones, and have gone with friends and groups of people. And we were in the medicine wheel, and we had St. Elmo's fire come up. And that is a green electricity that runs over the ground in the mountains. My cat is up here, one of my kitties. Lover boy, he's up here. And so there was 4 of us, and I have a Native American registration card, so they don't care if I was up there, and the Forest Service knew I was there, and the Native people knew I was there, and nobody was up there. Let me tell you, it was cold. We were wrapped up, bundled up, and sleeping in our cars, and we had gone out, and it was a certain planetary lineup, and we were laying in the wheel. And as we were laying there, the St. Elmo's fire come rolling over the soil, and it's this green. You could actually almost play with it in your hands. It's electricity, and it's what used to jump off the ships at sea. And so the St. Elmo's fire came over. It was very, wow, it's like, okay, everybody's here. And then the birds came in the middle of the night. Nighthawks, kuduas, came and were sweeping us with their wings. And I'm sure we had been walking around stirring up bugs, was kind of my natural mind told me that was going on. But as we were moving around in these natural grasses, these nighthawks, and they make a really awesome sound. They have the great big owl eyes, They would come and they would swoop us with a feather, brush us. It's like we were getting smudged and brushed with living feathers. So that all was going on, and everybody got really tired, and we laid down, and I called it the 3 bears because we had a little bitty tent. We were so cold, and we were jammed in side to side to side in this little bitty tent, and everybody was like, snoring. It was like the 3 bears in there, and I'd say, okay, we need to roll to the left, and we'd all roll over another direction. We'd all kind of laugh, and everybody jostle around and try to stay warm and get comfortable, and it was getting close to sunrise, that really cold that comes in, and we had military jets fly over us so low we could see the afterburners. They flew right over the medicine wheel. I mean, they you could see through the tent, you could see the afterburners, and it was like, oh, we've had visitors. Why are they way up here in Wyoming? Nowhere on Medicine Mountain. So that night we had figured that we had some off-planet visitors, and now the military was checking it out. It was very, very interesting. Kind of wound up in the weeds on that one, but it really is about, I want to inspire you, Bridget, and encourage you to, this is not an accident. This is, at this point in our time on our mother, it really is so vital that we reconnect and share these wonderful stories and get a giggle and know that Spirit will take care of us always and forever. Cat. Lover boy, stop it. See, there's him. There's Lover boy. He's a rag doll. He showed up injured at my house with a broken leg. And he's a cat dog. No, literally, he's a puppy dog. He follows me. I'm getting about ragdoll. And he had been on his own for a very long time. Now he's charming. Anyway, he hangs out with us, as all things. I asked a cat specialist. I said, why did this cat come? How did it even get here? It was across town. And she said, she tapped her forehead. Because they know. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. Back to my little notes. Oh yes, the injury of the trees. I was laying and watching my pecan trees, and I didn't understand how you can see how you're supposed to, if you have to have a broken limb or something, you're supposed to cut it as level to the trunk of the tree as you can, and not leave a big piece of wood hanging out, because the tree will not go in and start making a scab, if you will, and start healing. It's making a scar over it. And I was looking at my trees, and I was seeing, even though it had a lot of, oh my God, we don't even know how old these trees are. The house is probably 85 to 90 years old, and the trees were planted when the house was built. So I was really understood how everything in nature, and it's not very pretty sometimes. We don't go through injuries and we don't get our scars and our marks without really seeing the marks. And I like to see them as my beauty marks. These are my my ability for my body to heal. And just like I can heal, we all can heal and get well. But sometimes we have to carry some injuries or some marks. And I think it's a good thing. Hey, Summer, I'm seeing myself on here and not Bridget. Disconnect auto raise hand. I have no idea what that means.
Hey, girl.
Either.
The cat did that.
Okay.
We are recording.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Bridget.
I'm here.
Okay.
I was just
And Flip, the
still.
cat had done that. He's magical.
I was just still, so, and I'm also watching.
Are we still on?
Yeah, I'm watching all these things blowing around in the back, and I'm listening to the medicine.
I mean, you know, we did, it could have been the pig. You know, he doesn't get to come and be on the patio anymore. But one time when he was a piglet, I rescued a pot-bellied pig. And I hate to tell you, but the pig is smarter than the dogs. Very, very smart animal. Anyway, could have been the pig and he would have knocked everything down. How do we stop ourselves from healing was one of the questions that I have been up against. One of them is, and I have been up against this more than once in my life, is that I thought I wasn't good enough. I wasn't enough. I wasn't whatever. The marketing picture had been put in front of me for most of my life about the ideal woman. Well, that doesn't exist. And so finally, when I realized that I am enough, and I'm good enough, and I'm smart enough, and in all the stages of my life, from 0 to 64, I am living a brilliant existence. And what a big message to tell someone who is hooked in the, especially here now we're at Christmas, we are so overwhelmed and almost broken to the point of soul deprivation of to buy items that will go in the dump. Unnecessary things. Just this whole mind control driving that makes us feel whole and important and accepted. And once we can peel that away, and there's nothing wrong, you know, I make gifts. All my kids get a gift. I like to cook and bake and do things and knit. I'm a knitter and I spin and I grow my own cotton and I spin my own cotton, which is very difficult. I am learning. Spinning cotton is very hard. But to be free, isn't that what we want to be? And when I woke up from my long sleep, I had my friends say, what do you want? What is your life? I mean, you've had all these goals in your life. You know, you had a business and you go train this, and you did this, and you did this. You've always had these journey goals. What is truly the thing that is the deep in your heart that you want? And I want to be free. That was the essence. That was it in the nut, as Ram Dass would say. We always get down to the nut, right down to the little bitty thing of that's what we want. So that taught me on a whole new journey, how to be free. And it's been like a layer upon layer, just like the cadmium layer and the layers that we build as our trees and our connection we have through our roots with other people and the microbes in the soil. I slowly started to build my new persona of myself, is that I want to be free. And how do I do that? What does that look like? I don't know, because quite honestly, I keep getting lambasted by media or friends or things. And, oh, look at everybody in the neighborhood bought a new car. Well, mine's, 16 years old and it still runs. Perfectly good car. Why do I need a new car? And so I had to start thinking, why do I need these things? Of course, through my recovery, I noticed that I had to remove all plastic and synthetics as close as I could. I knit my own socks. I wear as much cotton. I don't even care if it's old. I make my own cosmetics. I've done that forever anyway. I grow almost all my own food now. And as soon as I start bringing in more synthetics, I start feeling it in pain. I start feeling pain in my body. I start feeling pain in my head and my emotional beings, because I don't have the frequency for synthetics. I love to sew, and I'll touch something first, and I'll just be repulsed. I can't touch it. It needs to be linen or cotton, silk or felt. I love to make felt, and fibers that are natural and that will reproduce. Not something we're drilling out of the ground with a war behind it and making something that is just really not good for us. Yeah. And that has no quality of life. And as I worked, one thing I picked up again, because the therapy with my hand, because they said I would never be able to use my fingers. Well, they work perfectly well right now. And I picked up my knitting needles. And oh my God, the first pair of socks I made with this arm, I still have them. Summer's laughing at me. They were hideous. They were huge. And I was like, just working so hard to get the needles and then get the fiber around to make a one stitch, where I've made socks since I was a little girl, with 4 needles, fine, tiny thread, wool thread, and made beautiful socks and cabled items. And here I was with 2 great big knitting needles, just trying to make one stitch. And I made a long rectangle. I couldn't make a circle. I made a long rectangle. And then when I made 2 long rectangles, I took a big old needle and I sewed them together. So they were kind of a very funky tube sock. And by golly, I put them on. I was going to wear them because I had made socks. Right now I'm wearing a beautiful pair of socks that I made. I can knit now. And my daughter's wearing a beautiful pair of socks right now. But I learned that it was good enough. That horrible, ugly, that I thought was ugly pair of socks I had made with my big old knitting needles, which are still in my drawer, to remind me of my points in my journey, my points in my growth, the rings in my tree. Because she's sleeping now, and I would not allow myself to rest. I'm going to kind of follow this little journey back around, is that I was so driven. I raised children by myself. I had 2 to 3 jobs at one time. I would bake, do a barista, go back to the office, do massage. Somebody would call me, they were hurt in an accident or ski. I would get up in the middle of the night. I'd meet them at my massage room. I would work on them. That because I didn't want to use government money. I wasn't going to do that. I was completely able and capable of raising my family. And once they got a little older, everybody had to contribute to the household. So they got little jobs, washing dishes or working at the ski resort or whatever, the bed and breakfast, or riding their bikes to work, and a tiny little bit. And it wasn't really about the tiny bit. It was about learning how to be part of a family and a community. I never gave my kids a car. If they couldn't afford it, I surely wasn't going to break my back to do it. As so much is given, just given without any consciousness about what the energy it took to bring that to their usage. So I never was going to do that. And so all this time I have worked and allowed myself very little sleep, very little time to recover. All of a sudden now in my life, I stand in the garden and they go, hey, we're resting. We're in the ground and we're kind of sleeping. Why don't you go do the same thing? Why don't you go and rest? Why don't you go and lay your body down and turn off your mind for a little bit? When you have a head injury, you really have to work on waking your brain up and learning how to read again and learning how to see. I looked at the alphabet and I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. It's like, well, what kind of monkey talk is that? I had no idea what I was looking at. And I'm a reader. I raised all my kids to read. We read and we journal, we write and we draw and we paint and everything. And I looked at words and I went, oh my God, I am so in trouble. This could be Japanese for all I know. So I had to literally get a little tablet, like you learn to write, those little brown paper tablets that have the two big lines and the dotted line in the middle that you learn how to write on. And I started alphabet again. I'd look, oh, there's A, okay, and there's B. And then, so pretty soon, whatever was in my brain, it went, oh, okay, we remember that. Boom. I would go to my little Unity church, and people would come up and hug me, and they'd go, oh, Jannie, we've been praying for you, and I'd make a joke out of it. I go, I don't know who you are. I have no idea who I am talking to. Do I know you? And I'd make a joke out of it, and we would laugh, and they go, oh, yeah, we know each other. I'm so-and-so. Okay, all right, right on. And pretty soon, all of those little messages started getting through because I had finally allowed myself to rest. And as grandmothers, we have worked very hard. We have used our bodies up. We have aching joints, we have arthritis, we have issues with our bodies, and we have taken our bodies. I just wish I had my 20-year-old body now with this brain and this consciousness I have now, because, I'm like unstoppable, Oh yeah, I've done the whole Grand Canyon, I've kayaked the whole thing. Sure, why not? I found the Sipapu. Oh yeah, cool, that's awesome. Look at that. Now it's, I gauge my energy about how much I can do in a day. And I use the zones of permaculture. You have the zones, and you have zones that you, and your outside garden and your trees are another zone, and your composting is another zone. So you have these zones. So I have taken, kind of lifted that from permaculture and made my own zones. And I actually had check marks in my mind. And I'm getting ready to make some check marks, some zones for myself to kind of watch myself that I don't overextend anymore. So I take these zones, and my first zone is my body. And how am I feeding, nurturing? Do I need supplements? Do I need herbs? Do I need teas? What do I need? Because if I can't get my body up and moving with good water and good food, I'm not going to accomplish anything else. I won't be able to even get up. So I had to kind of qualify my zones, and that is each personal, because each tree has a unit of cold. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So between 30 and 40 degrees is one 24-hour unit of cold. And when trees go to sleep, they need, like a plum, it needs 160 units of cold, which is 160 hours. One unit is 1 hour of that temperature in order to set the bud and set the fruit, because she is working. Because we think it's cold, they're not working. No, they are doing their biggest work. And when we are dormant and we are quiet, we are preparing for the fruiting time. We are preparing for the flower and the fruit. And that is one of the big pieces we've cut out of the cycle. We have forgot that we need to allow ourselves dormancy. We need units of coal. Apples have a lot. That's probably why they only really do good in the Pacific Northwest, because they need like 600 units of coal, and it can change within every variety of apple. So I am looking at how many units of coal do I need as an individual to restore myself, restore and renew. And, I believe that we can grow bone back. I believe we could grow limbs back. We have the ability. We've just forgotten how to do it. And we aren't going to do it on the rat wheel of third dimension. We have to slip ourselves back out and get quiet. And that's when we can disengage from this horrific harvest of our energy. And there is a horrific harvest of energy right now that is taken from humans and actually used as a commodity and used like a drug for some beings. And if we disengage ourselves from this, they don't like it very much. They really start messing with us. They'll actually come after us and do bad things to us or hurt us or try to stop us because they want us back in, especially us who have been valiant warriors and have showed up and raised our hand over and over and over again. We get kicked in the fucking teeth. We show up again. We just keep doing it because something inside of us believes in beauty. We know that there is life and it is good, and we just need to show up. Because not everybody on the spiritual journey has our best interests at heart. There is probably more now who are out to harvest energy from folks than who want to be in a sharing of equal energy exchange is what I always called it. Because when I took somebody out on Vision Quest, I would say we need to do equal energy exchange. You come to the medicine person with an equal energy exchange. We train for so many months. We are getting ready. We're doing these things. So don't leave me high and dry with no food in my refrigerator while I am out nurturing you so you can go out and feed your family. Somehow I was disconnected. And I really got that straight. I got it straight. It could be money. It could be fuel. It could be groceries. It could be whatever. But it needed to be an equal energy exchange. And that is the difference between our monetary, because our monetary system, I believe, was never intended for humanity. The monetary system is a curse brought to entrap and enslave humans. When we get out of it, and yes, we do need money. I have to go and buy gas for my car. I need to, do things. But I also need to put in energetically. I put in energetically and I pay it forward. And then this, and I would love to see it all completely slip around to the right way. I don't know what that looks like because I haven't been told or shown, because I don't think we really know what the right way is. I think the ancient beings and the native people, they would have trade days. They would meet, they would have rendezvous, and they would lay out their wares, and somebody made good buckskin, and somebody made good this, and they made good that, and they had dried meat, and then there would all be an equal energy exchange and a sharing. I don't know what it's going to take to get humans now to shift into that, but I see it happening. I was at the Natural Gardener in Austin, and I just love that. He's just done a beautiful thing. And everybody that works there is a lot younger than me, but all of a sudden I'll have a flock of them around me, because I'm like, oh yeah, look at this herb, look at this, and we start talking and they hear me, and all of a sudden I'll have a little crowd around me. Okay, what do I do for this? How do I tincture that? And all of a sudden we'll start talking, and then there's a young guy with 2 babies, one on his hip and one walking. Well, we just bought, 5 acres, and we're doing a homestead. and we want to do this. And I see this awakening. And at one point I thought it was all lost, and it's not. They're coming back. They're coming back fine. They're building beautiful homes naturally. They're doing it. But it's covered up. We don't see that on I don't watch TV. My television sits out in my rain garden as a lawn ornament. Literally, my TV, big screen TV, sits out as a lawn ornament. And I wanted to put a great big eye on it. I still might paint a great big eye on it. But it is happening. And we, as the grandmothers and who have gone through all this, and we hold the web of life together, our roots are all connected. How do we not? How do we not? How do we give up? We don't. We don't give up. And, okay, so I'm seeing a lot of my sister buddies leave the planet. And I feel a big vacancy when that happens. And I know that they have done a fine work, and they are now resting. And I have a really difficult time feeling very alone sometimes, as who is going to take our place, Bridget? I am really hoping that your circle will bring the mothers, that younger ring, into the center, because we will go out, and then the newer ones will come in, and the rings will keep being made. Are we reaching them? Are they somehow getting it? Yes, they are. They're breastfeeding their babies again. They're returning to home birth. They're returning to the natural family. I believe, having watched, it's not that my kids sure didn't get into some shenanigans. Let me tell you, everybody's got to do what they do when they grow up. And my kids grew up pretty natural, in a teepee a lot. And, if they, wanted to learn how to snowboard, they had to go get a job and buy their snowboard and go up there and do that. And I did move several times. I would move to Colorado because that was in their best interest at that time. Might have been harder on me to reestablish my business, but it gave them that skate park, the river, the ski resort, the cool friends, the whatever they needed. So I was willing to stop and readjust what I had been working for, to shift it around. Right now I just see our this generation is just, they all have PTSD. Have they all been so injured with from vaccinations, from their parents leaving them in daycare because mom and dad have to both work and get a job? I was very determined that I would be there. Yes, and I had to go to work, and they were sometimes, having to heat up what was ever in the refrigerator and learn how to wash clothes and fold clothes. But I was very careful about who entered their life and what kind of messages were put in them, what they were looking at, what they were reading. And not that I was trying to keep them from anything, but I wanted them to know that there is a better way. So I know that the circle can come back. I know it can. I know that they can be healed of their loss. Boy, did you just hear the wind come in? Woo! That was a big message. About restoring. This is just as it is the grandmothers getting together and having a chit chat and having tea. This is about promoting to our sisters and our youngers so that they can come in and relieve us, first of all, of some of the energy of the work that we're holding, because we're holding a huge amount of energy. Even as you're sitting in your own realm, in your own little world, we are holding massive amounts of energy for our planet, for our earth. And we hold these massive amounts of energy as light shafts. We bury into the soil, into the earth, and we hold this. And sometimes that's all we can do is just hold it. We're not required anything else. We don't have to write a book. We don't have to do anything else. It's just hold the energy, because they're coming along. And spirit is true and faithful. Just as spirit was true and faithful as I was cut out of a car, and there was a surgeon I needed waiting for me in a little bitty hospital that never had an ortho in it. You know, I didn't understand why the accident, but wrecks happen. I even had spiritual people say, well, what did you do? What did you do to deserve that? And I said, I didn't do anything. Nobody deserves to be rolled in a car and crushed. Nobody deserves to get cancer. Nobody deserves this. Just stuff happens along the way. Somebody makes the wrong move. They push the pedals the wrong way. Things happen. And I now do not have a lot of friends. It just kind of wiped out a lot of residual energies, because I couldn't hike and go play and do things like I could anymore, because I was working on my inside work and the healing of this body. And it gave me a lot of grief, a lot of pain, because I was disappointed that they were undeveloped enough to not see. But they're coming back around. They're seeing. And one thing I learned when I was trained, when I was going through my sweat lodge training, you earn the rights to pour. And it's a hard task. I shaved my head because I couldn't stand the heat. I was skinny as a bone. I cut my hair really short, because when you're in sweat lodge and you're doing this over and over and over again, the cleansing is very intense. And the ridicule and the backlash that would come from friends, people you work with, whatever, got really severe, and even to bodily threats. They thought, I was doing something for the dark side. And it's like, no, not doing that. Well, within a week or two, they would be sitting next to me in the lodge, pouring their hearts out and crying and grieving, because that's where you go to do it. That's where you go to heal and get all this out. And that was such an aha moment, that no matter how blustery and egotistical that we can be on the outside, it's all a bluff. It really is. We're bluffing, because we're all frightened children who need assurance and love and a hug. And most of all, when you get a hug from Mother Earth, you get a big hug. You get a really big, forever kind of hug. Am I done, Bridget? That felt really good.
Oh, well, I could see you really work through some stuff as you talked.
Once that last wind came through, it felt like it just carried. Boy, that just went to the four corners. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was sitting here trying to hold the energy together, because there was a couple periods where there was so much stuff going on. It got so intense. I was seeing stars. I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to black out. And then I'd watch your phone kind of go, and I thought, oh no, we're not going to lose her. Let's send energy there to cool the phone off. Let's keep it like all together.
Hey, Summer, how come I can't hear?
Oh,
Bridget, I can't hear you. Is it me or you? Are you muted?
how's that? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I don't think I'm muted. Hold on. Let me see what we got going on. Nope.
Ours is on.
Oh, we're on. I can hear you now. There, she said. Karen Pringle said, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, I was sitting here watching you, clear all this amazing energy, while you were talking, and
I still cannot hear you, Bridget.
oh, I wonder what's going on. Oh wait,
Is
that
volume?
better? Is that
There
better?
it is. There it is. There it is. I can hear you.
Anyway,
Push the volume button. Summer's good at pushing the buttons.
I have to pull the microphone closer. Anyway, so as I was watching you talk, I was just watching you clear a lot of stuff, you know, not just for yourself, but like you said, the grandmothers were being called in this morning, and they were helping, you know, to clear the road. And sometimes I know that I have to do the clearing work for, you know, the collective conscious in order to make this kind of stuff happen. But I'd watch stuff blow around in the background, and every time like the energy would really start to clear, I'd hear clanging and all kinds of stuff going on back there. And yeah, so thank you so much for being the first person on the and this is, you know, I'm making my way into crone, you know, like I just started getting gray like 5 years ago. I got my Franken strip right here, my badge of honor.
Right, yes, right, yeah.
And I really, you know, had when I was working with the Free Cherokee, and then that changed, and then we decided to change it into the Red Road Society, so I built the website and everything for it, and it just kind of fell apart. But I always had this vision of how can we take technology now? Because like you, I have periods where I feel like I'm doing so much work, but I don't have a lot of connecting work. Like I don't have personal connections, and I don't have stories. I love people telling their stories. It gives me it makes me feel connected, you know, and I don't have a lot of places to go anymore where that connection can take place. So once I revamped the redroadsociety.com, once we decided we were done with that, I kept the website, and then I decided I'm going to go after some of these visions I have, and then make it work and use the website in order to do that. So I'm really grateful. And there's a I'll find the video. I'll have to look for it, but I was thinking about it. But there was this video, an unusual video. I love David Icke because he talks about a lot of freaky stuff, and I love out there freaky stuff. And he talks a lot about how, you know, we're being fed off of, you know, and a lot of these other concepts.
Right. Yep.
But there's a particular video where he goes to Australia, and he ends up at this Aboriginal center, and he ends up sitting on a bench next to this grandmother and her daughter. And the whole time the grandmother can tell the toxicity of him. She's like got this smudge pile sitting on her lap, and it's just smoking away, and she's talking to David Icke. And you know, the more that they talk to him, the more glazed, like his eyes get all red because they're like clearing him and changing him. But the stories are pretty amazing that they have. But there's this one story that they talk about when they pass over ancient people. The Abos are some of the Aborigine people are some of the oldest people on the planet. And it goes back to the Siberian shamans as well. If you look at the Anastasia book, she talks a lot about that. That's where my lineage comes from. And about how when we pass over, we don't incarnate. That the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the masters, they actually will put their energy or their spirit into something that's here. So it leaves an imprint or a library of their information that through consciousness can be obtained if you go to those areas, and it can be downloaded within you so that you have that information. But anyway, they talk about, there's this great story, and I'll find it and then I'll put it on the website so people can watch it. But there's a story about how the grandmothers, that the Aborigines, they never cut down any of the trees, no matter what. It's bad medicine, because when the grandmothers leave their physical body, they project their spirit into the trees so that they can continue to watch over their people and be there. And the one thing that the one grandmother says is that we know that they're the grandmothers that imprint their spirits into the trees, because only the grandmothers would allow their legs to be cut off so that they could shelter and shade their people.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Even when I prune, because fruit trees need to be tended and cared for. And I actually, my arborist and I, we will have discussions on every single clip. And he's totally into it. He, you know, I'll go, okay, look at the balance here, look at this rubbing here is going this way or that way. And what do you think? And I touch the tree and I tell her, this is what we're going to do. And it's all going to be better. You're going to heal and you'll be more fruitful and you won't be full of this, the rubs and the problems that are going on where the bugs get in. And yes, it's amazing. And I would like to share my story of my apricot tree, because it's a little miracle story. I love my apricot tree story. So when we were first, we'd been here 7 years, pushing a little more than that. And we came in at a run. We came in really working. And so I was starting to plant trees. And we had a little big box store called Alco here. And it's since dissolved and gone. And I went to Alco for something. And there, rolling around the parking lot, was a 3-gallon dead stick. And they had every spring, the local nurseries from Texas will bring in fruit and flowering trees and all kinds of stuff, and you can buy them, you know, and they're fairly good trees, actually, you know. And so I saw this one. It was where I parked, and I saw this poor little 3-gallon pot rolling in the heat, and I went, "Oh, what are you doing over there?" So I went and picked it up, and it had its sign on it still, and it was a hybrid, like a plum cot. And I went, and it was screaming, "Take me home. I'm going to die." And I went, "Really?" It wasn't even a whip. I mean, it was, you know, about 1 inch around. And so I took it into the store and I paid my money for it and took it home and I watered it. And I stood out here in my back area and I said, "Okay, since you can talk, why don't you tell me where you want to be? Show me where you want to be." And I want to be right there. And we have this low fencing to keep the dogs and the pigs and the chickens out of the garden area. And so it kind of comes at an angle, just a really tight elbow there. And it said, "I want to be right there in that elbow." "Really?" "Yes, right there." So I get my shovel out and I start digging and I compost the soil, and it was really nice soil. It was wonderful soil. And were you helping me? Did you help me plant it?
I might have dug your hole.
Yes, I think it was a 2-person. We're in Texas. We have lots of rock.
I don't remember any rocks being in that particular
Right.
hole.
And yeah, Summer helps me plant every single tree. She's a great tree planter. So we pulled it out, and it was, they'll not really live if they're spiraling. The root system needs to be out. So we carefully took it all apart, you know, and moved all the roots and nestled it down in and put some bunch of good soil on it and watered it. My rule with trees is I need to commit the first 3 years of their life. I make sure, even if I'm hauling water in a drought that I have collected from my shower or my washing my dishes, I will get water to them. I've saved trees on 55 gallons of water. Amazing. When everything else around me died, just by that little bit in the drip line. So I make a commitment to them, and I require nothing of them for 3 years. I do not prune them. I feed them, I mulch them, and I water them. And I talk to them. So this last year, so this is her 4th year, she put on fruit that was abundant. These apricots were so delicious, they would drip off your chin. And I had enough to can and then to sell at farmer's market. And everybody that came up, they would take a bite. I said, even if you don't buy it, just take a bite. This is magic fruit. You don't understand. This is a magic tree. It can talk. I don't tell everybody that, but it can. And this, and their faces go just like bliss. "Oh, I've never tasted anything like that." I go, "I know. Isn't that wonderful? I want everything you got. I mean, well, let's share with everybody. I'm not going to sell you everything. I'll sell you a small portion, but you're not getting it all. Everybody else has to have a bite." That's my apricot tree story. Even those lost and rolling around a nasty, hot asphalt parking lot, given a chance, just like the cat who knocked over the thing, or the pig who lives out there, and many chickens we've rescued that were caged and treated horrible. Give them a little love and a little space and some good food and water, they'll just blossom. And that's what we're doing. We're doing it a little different way right here today, right? We're sending out through the clouds and the skies and the winds the message for who knows what they'll pick up in their dream time. They'll get something. It's what we put out does not fall. It goes out and it produces. Every time we drop a seed in the ground, every time there's that waiting time, which is really important for us to stand back and let it have its time. Let it work. Let it be in there for a little bit. And pretty soon, oh, look, it's sprouted. Oh, wow, look, 3 days later, wow, look at that. Now I got 2 leaves. Now I have 3 leaves. Look at that. I mean, and it is really is amazing right now as we get to be part of this big Texas truck just went by because I'm sitting outside. We get to be part of the reseeding. I really believe that this is what you're doing, Bridget. And people are going to hear, and you can use this whatever, how you want. You can cut this up, this little spiel I did, this little talk. It's probably very not what most people would really appreciate. Because what I'm doing is I'm just getting messages. I'm getting intuitions coming in. And that's I think that's where we really need to be real. It's not scripted. Please don't get scripted. When we get scripted, we lose the magic. We lose spirit. It's like, spirit's like, no, that's not how it's done. You follow and you open your mouth. Oh, there's such a big lesson. Because I was a very shy child, believe it or not. Now I'm mouthy. And I was always very quiet and small and from a great big Indian family. And, I didn't want to, wrestle. And I was late. My father was 40 when I was born. So I was kind of like the last little baby in the family. And it really took a lot for me to say, hey, don't do that. No, I don't put my food in a damn plastic bag. I don't use plastic. They look at me like, what? So we're drowning in it. Here, I make feed bags. Put it in my bag. I will use this over and over and over again. I make grocery bags out of my feed bags. And all of a sudden they'll go, huh? I said, look, I walked up here with it. I most certainly can walk out to my car with it. Why do I need this thing to transport it? I could even put it in my cart and drive it out, put it in my car and go home. There's no need for this packaging. Convenience for who and what? Then I'm freaking cursed with this plastic. What do you do with it? We're drowning in it. And I'm really proud of some countries who are stopping it. I think Hawaii has a no plastic zone and some other places, Austin is now a no plastic zone. And we're working on it here. We just keep pecking away at it in our little bitty, towns that don't quite get it sometimes. They forget that they're part of the bigger picture. But we are. Us little towns are all part of the bigger picture because we're the structure. We're the structure of the tree. Us little people. We see ourselves as that, but we're really not. We're the vital. We're the xylem and the phloem. We are the living juice in life that even though we don't see it, and we might not see a lot of it within our lifetime, we have to know that, I'm a seed planter. I plant seeds. That's what I do. And I have great joy doing it. I love to plant seeds, my God. And I love finding new seeds and looking at seeds. And I just gave away 2 of my favorite, seed catalogs are coming out right now. And one is So True Seeds, and the other one is Southern Seed Exposure. And I love those 2 seed companies. Excellent. And my girls call it my seed porn. Because I go over each page. I look at read everything on it about each seed and the story about it. And so I there's a man in Louisiana who's awakened. He's just had a new baby named Lucille, number 5. And he has a lawn service. But you know what he's doing now? Instead of planting ornamentals, he's planting blueberries around their houses. So I sent him my favorite new catalogs with a pack of stuff for his kids. And she said when he got, and I used some hand-spun wool, and he'd never seen hand-spun wool. I had it tied with hand-spun wool, and I had his name, Walter, on the top. And she said he stood there, my friend had sent a package, and it was for her neighbor, who is Walter. And she said he stood there, and she said, "Are you all right, Walter?" And he said, "I'm processing." He was looking at these seed catalogs, which are totally a new information that was laid in his hands. I really didn't want to lose my 2. I can call them up and they'll send me some more catalogs, But I really got that how tiny gifts, tiny little movements. I know he is going to latch onto this. I know it. I know he is just going to be, and his whole crew, all the guys who work with him, they're going to be, this is going to go in the truck. This is going to be in the work truck. They're going to be picking this up. They're going to be feeling this energy and how we can do it different. It's awesome. It's just, and all I did was send a seed catalog. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing, amazing stuff. I was just going to add something real quick, and maybe you might want to do a prayer after that, and we'll close. And I do a lot of, I went back to school at age 40 to Rudolf Steiner College. So I actually did a lot of interns, and I've done some permaculture stays. But I really love biodynamic work and making the preparations to cure even radiation, from the land, and help with the microcosmic, world. And a friend of mine, he's a chemist, and he was on a 40-acre parcel, and they asked me to come out a couple summers ago in Oregon. I mean, it's like totally nothing there. I mean, lived in the van and showered outside and cooked outside and just love that kind of living, Anyway, I was going to build a small food core production, but some of the other people on the land were really angry. And I'm always shocked when I walk onto big pieces of land, because I can't believe people aren't growing food. I'm like, you're not growing anything? Like nothing? Like zero? Like you have all this land and water, and like, what the hell are you thinking? Why are you going all the way into town to the grocery store to buy food? Like, I don't really even get that. So my friend who was on the land with these other people, it was pretty much men, and I show up and all kind of hell breaks loose, and then there's egos are bulging, and I'm just like got my wheelbarrow and my shovel and my bucket and my dog, and I'm just like, I'm going over to this. I'm going over to the area where this old orchard is, because I need to spend time with these grandmothers here, and I'm going to build a garden over here and put some coal frames up for you guys, build a core food production here. And literally one of the men on the land would actually come around and steal my wheelbarrow. I can't get anything done without my wheelbarrow. My wheelbarrow, my shovel. It's the only 2 things I need. So
I have 3 wheelbarrows.
Yeah, just in case.
A little one and 2 big ones.
Yeah. So anyway, it was 3 months of, the battle royal, and I just wanted to stay out of it. And, I was seeing these signs, and there was some native spirits that were there that were really angry of what had happened to the land. I got actually stung by a hive of underground bees, these meat bees that came out of the ground. And I knew that if they had wanted to, they probably could have killed me. I have a video on my YouTube over the whole thing. But I ended up only getting the coal frames up and a few things done to show my friend, who was interested in learning how to grow food and what to do. And then I fixed soil so there could be a garden grown. I planted the cold frames before I left so he could try to, have a relationship with the food and see how it kind of goes, and maybe it would survive. He said he wasn't a green thumb, but over 2 years time, well, this last summer, he ended up planting a whole bunch of stuff. He ended up keeping alive in these cold frames and then replanting them and all this other stuff. Well, this huge, amazing thing happened to him. He was so angry about so many things in his life, and he would get upset, and he would literally become outraged that the process of him having a relationship with these plants, he healed all of his anger, like every little bit of it. And now he's moved more towards, this relationship with the soil and this relationship with the trees. And now there's a bear that comes, and the dog and the bear know each other, and then the bear comes and climbs up in the tree and gets the apples, and he's got this relationship with this bear. And now, like this whole other world, the other world, is like opening up to him. The Earth Mother, she's healing him, and she's showing him the way through planting seeds. And I said, sometimes it's as simple as chopping wood and carrying water. When you're farming or you're growing food, you just get up, you look, you go, okay, today I'm watering. Things got to get watered. Oh, tomorrow I've got to, clean up. I've got to do this. And I said, it's as simple as that. And I said, if you show up every day, everything in you will heal. Right? Because you're in service of something greater than yourself. And that gives back to you more love than you will ever know or have ever had in your entire life, through all the means that it might produce. So I always tell people, like, one of the most, I guess, and ancient Native people knew this because of their altered relationship. All my relations, I'm in relationship to all that relates to me and that I relate to out there. And you hear stories about the buffalo, and they would come to the buffalo and they'd say, look, here's some songs and ceremony, but we really need to feed our families, and we'll come back tomorrow, and then they come back the next day, and one of the buffalo decides to honor the people with its life to feed them, and it steps forward effortlessly because of their relationship to it, and they're asking permission. And how that works, once you change your mind about me, I need, and you go, what does it need? What does that tree need? How can I be of service? And you step forward and you change your whole relationship with it. You make friends with it. Like one of my Native teachers, she said, you got to make friends with it. If you want that plant medicine to work for you, you got to work for it. You got to show it that you mean business and that you really want to know. So anyway, you just inspired me.
I might need a little of your expertise. I am putting in a field of hops.
Of what? Pot? Oh, I thought you said pot.
No. I don't have any issue with that, quite honestly. Spirit doesn't make anything that's not necessary.
Right.
But I have actually ordered the rhizomes already, and I am putting in, but I want to do the more than permaculture. I really want them to be this is going to be different. I want to learn how to make the formulas. I've studied Steiner stuff, and I don't quite have a full grasp on it. I have the way to make the water, to spin the water and everything, but I would really love to grow hops. They grow wonderful here because they like hot. And I've already have the arbors already set up. I know what I'm going to do. They're already ordered, but there's going to be something different about these. And I'd really like them to go for medicine plants. They're wonderful sedative, and for maybe microbreweries. I enjoy a good beer once in a while. And, but to really learn the hop, what a sweet plant. I just love it. I was growing some, and then God bless my little pig, he realized that hop roots were just delicious. And he got his little rooty nose out, and he found every hop I had. So that ended that batch. It was kind of interesting. So I ordered another one, and he is not going to be able to get into this area, and help himself, because he'd eat my hop rhizomes. He would eat everything. And then he'd go lay in the sun and go to night, sleep, because he was all sedated. It's like I grow catnip, and I'll find the cats out in the garden walling around in the catnip, So anyway, I don't quite have a grasp on Steiner's. Maybe it's the philosophy or the technique. It looks extremely complicated. I have got the calendar, and I know it's by using the moon cycles and the astrology. He incorporates that. Is that correct? He uses astrology or the moon cycles when you plant. So they will be here in May. The rhizomes will be dug and shipped from an organic grower in Oregon in May.
Well,
so
probably one of the best things I'll do is we'll end this, and then we'll talk about that more on the other side. And let me take a look and see if I can't, hold on a second. Let me see if I can't find some biodynamic support there in Texas.
Okay.
And see if they can't ship you some preparations that you can do to increase the microorganisms in your soil. And then, I can help you on the side with some of that kind of information. And it's very, the reason why I really got along with biodynamics, I kept looking for internships to return back to the earth. I really wanted to start making my own plant medicines, putting them together as a part of my practice, because I do energy instructional medicine, and I wanted to use plant medicine, food as foundation, and, fixing the soil, and then using the plants to help fix the soil like you were talking about, and then also using that medicine to be able to give to people. They could come to the farm and, oh yeah, you got a cough, you got that, okay, here's some of this, all kinds of different plant medicines. So that was the main goal. And then what I found out through being involved with biodynamics and going to school and then being part of groups and our quarterly meetings and all this other stuff was that it was very shamanic, that all of what I was learning was very native, to the world. And I think this is where he picked it up.
Books are very different. It is not a guide book by any sort, like a gardening guidebook, Yeah. His philosophy is very, very deep.
Well, and very and it's only you that can really understand your plants and your soil, and so how that relationship works, and then how you work with the cosmos, right? The seventh direction, the cosmos, the ancestors, and how your relationship. So it became like it kind of went hand in hand. But yeah, I can give you a lot of information on that as well, and see if I can't find you some support and get you some preps. And then they're easy to stir. If you got the stirring down, you're just structuring them and binding them with the water.
Right.
And then the water is the carrier. So, yeah, I can totally help you with some of that information. And I would love to help you with some of that information, because I'd like to pick your brain about some stuff too.
Right. Well, you're welcome anytime. Come on down.
I am. As soon as I have a little bit of extra money, I'm going to be like on the road coming and visiting you.
I got a wheelbarrow for you and a shovel.
That's all I need. Let me go.
Yeah. It is. I have gardened, and I know we're going to close and pray, but I have gardened everywhere, and I have to tell you, I have some of the richest soil. And it can be really different here. It could be like 2 blocks away, and it's full of clay and rocks, and people are cursing it. But we have red loam here, and we have a lot of. We're on the Enchanted Rock Escarpment, so we have all this pink quartz, in the soil. I mean, it's full of minerals, and but you can be digging, and all of a sudden, I mean, you will break a shovel. You know, you will hit a rock. But this is some of the most vital soil I have ever gardened in. It is amazing. Let me tell you, anywhere I put a shovel in the ground, not summer, I can grow it. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, maybe you're the vitalness of it.
It could be that. You know, the first thing in permaculture is to pay attention. And that's what Spirit has always been working with me. Anyway, just stop, rest yourself, pay attention, look around. What's going on around you? What do you have? And what do I have at hand? Well, you know, I have brought a lot in, but now I'm to a point where I'm not bringing any more in. Everything is remaking itself here, just as in life. You know, I don't have to go and buy. Oh, wait a while, you know, if I'm growing microgreens or something, I might need some sterile potting soil. And I don't have the ability to sterilize potting soil. It's stinky in the kitchen. So I'll buy, you know, some good organic mix. But everything now is, it's reserving it. And I get to write about it. I get to tell people, why are you putting those leaves in a black plastic bag and putting them in the trash?
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts. They throw all these leaves in it. You know?
I go on a big property. I go into people's yards and properties, and I'm like, no, we can use that. You know, let me get you some chickens and let them poop on your lawn and eat your lawn. Let's turn it into that, and then let's mow your lawn and use it for this compost. You know, you have all the resources you need. You just have to cultivate it, right? And then you create, like in biodynamics, you create these full systems where you're not bringing anything in, so you're not diseasing your property, because everything you breathe.
Yes, and you will bring in, even with high organic plants, we have seen disease come in. And it's been really kind of, you really have to watch. You have to look. Yeah, you know, and different things.
Yeah, that's why once you get your organism, completed, and you make everything that you need for your medicines from your property to your property, then nothing else comes in. And then it becomes amazing, because then it becomes the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Returning
thank you.
Yeah, girl.
And I see Laura Jameson came in. She's a spiritual sister here and a writer, and her husband's a wonderful writer and singer. He produces books. I love to read his W.C.'s, Jameson's books. He's excellent. And so do you want to close? You want me to close?
Give us a really good prayer.
Okay.
And we'll close down.
Okay. Grandfathers and grandmothers and the beings of this earth, we thank you for this time, and we thank you for this circle. And we ask for your great assistance as we continue on our journey of life. Be with us now. Be with us all the tomorrows of our life. Thank you and much gratitude. Aho.
Aho. All right, everybody, I'm going to end the meeting.
It was so fun.
I know. I just loved it. I'm so glad you did most of the talking, because I've been battling that cough, so it would have been.
I saw you try not to cough a couple of times.
Yeah. But anyway, this is going to be recorded. This particular meeting is going to be recorded. All the meetings may not be recorded. It just depends on the presenter. Some people are extremely more traditional, so you have to show up to the meeting. But any meetings that I can record, we're having 4 over the course of the year. We're at the redroadsociety.com under the Grandmother Circle. You may not see it on the front page, but if you scroll down, you'll see other pages at the bottom, and you'll see the Grandmother Circle down there. And it gives the information, the Zoom meeting, and who's going to be the presenter. I have a presenter for summer that I haven't put up yet, and she's a lineage from the Lakota, from the original pipe medicine ancestry, and she is going to be, I think, teaching moon medicine from their perspective in summer. And so that's the only one we don't have up for this year. And then so we're doing 4 kind of close to the solstice, a little bit after the solstice. grandmother meetings. So anyway, hopefully people will be able to tap in. More amazing women will show up. This will be recorded as soon as I can get it uploaded and everything. I'll get it onto the Red Road Society. And then if you want to share it with your other Chiquita bananas, then you can go ahead and do that. And then we can all share information and start having some really great conversations in the future. So
are you seeing the messages some people are popping up?
Karen
has suggested a few things, and she just let people know how to get a hold of me. I am on Facebook. My name, Jannie Vaught. And I also have a garden group called Bloom Where You're Planted, and it's only gardening. And it's YOUR, no hyphen, Bloom Where YOUR, You're Planted. And it's just gardening, just, and take pictures of what you're doing, and it's very fun. So, feel free, get in touch, stop by and have tea.
Yes. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully this has been inspiring, and it's just the start. So we'll just have to see where it goes. Yeah. And maybe in person, we can put together something in fall where we can go have a gathering, and we can go to Texas and go see Jannie there and have a couple nights of fire.
And we can do some, croning ceremonies, rites of passage.
Ooh.
There's some ceremonies that a lot of women don't get to do, and you can backtrack and do them because, you didn't get to do your puberty rites, and even though you're 35, so what? You can still reclaim and get that new name and do that ceremony. And, it really is. And cronings are fun. Cronings are a blast, because crones are fun.
Yeah.
They were, you make your tiara and you make your food and you do it under the full moon and you drink chocolate, and it's a blast. It really is, every what you want to do for your ceremony, you do it, and we've done some way out on some buttes in kind of by Utah and areas, and it is just spectacular to be under the stars and honor your age and your wisdom, and have all your sisters drinking chocolate out of crystal vases. It's pretty fun.
Well, I think you start moving into the crone age and all those things of, because I really, I grew up kind of with that, in a really unusual kind of highly spiritual family kind of, and I also kind of grew up as, I'm not enough. I had some really powerful women in my family, and never really ever thought that I would be them or, have their kind of a spiritual accomplishments. And so I always carried that I'm not enough. But the grayer I get, I'm like, get out of my way, because I'm coming, because I got it. I got my game on. My crone is coming, and I don't really care.
This is, I know we're closing, but this was a really funny story. Just happened the other day. So I walked into the little grocery store, and I'm in my old patched jeans, my favorite hoodie. And I walk in, and this whole group of people, like birds on a wire, they all turn, and they were at the checkout line. They all turned, children, husbands, wives, they all turned. They watched me come in the door, and they proceed to watch me. They were they weren't getting checked out yet. They watched me go get whatever I needed, and then they watched me come, and they kept pivoting. They kept pivoting like this, and then they stood there, and I thought, oh my God, I forgot to put my pants on. I thought I wasn't dressed. I was like looking around. It's like, oh, did I walk out without my pants on, or am I naked or something? They all pivoted around, and they just stood there and stared and looked at me, and I didn't know what to do. I was just like, well, and then I shared it with a friend, and she goes, oh no, they picked up on your energy when you walked in. They weren't really looking at you. They were, but they saw some energy or color or something come in the door and walk around, It's like, oh, okay, sure made me feel uncomfortable though.
Well, that's when your light is.
We think we're invisible, but we're not. We're really not invisible.
Mm-mm.
I can put my invisible power on when I want to. I can go completely. My kids can do it too. You walk in a room and they don't even know you're there. They haven't even heard you. But then you can put on that I'm here presence, and you can walk in and they're watching. You know, it's kind of cool. It really is interesting. People are a lot more perceptive than we give them credit for. You know. Anyway, what is? Oh, cat put himself in the crate. Okay. Oh, you put him in the crate. Okay.
All right, girl. I'm going to end this meeting. And Merry Christmas to everybody. And hopefully everybody has a really great ceremony for themselves in the new year. And so, and I just want to leave with this. My new year this year, because I always have to do a lot of work, next year, 2018, is more ceremony year for me. And really get back to my ceremonial roots on all levels. Yeah. So hopefully you'll find something for yourself, you know, do a little ceremony for yourself into the new year. Instead of saying, well, I'm going to lose more weight or I'm going to do this, say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be 2018 drama free or more ceremony or whatever. I'm going to plant more seeds. I'm going to get out there and talk to more beings or however else it's going to work. But anyway, let's set the tone for 2018 and the grandmothers and get our game on.
That's right. That's right.
All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.